Holy shit. My shit's hitting for 355. Ah.
Put your drone on a turret.
Yeah.
Yeah, that artificer high, bro.
Busy with that.
Alright, focus the heavy.
Fucking.
Focus the heavy. Back's gone. Alright, no.
One on the right.
Nice job. Alright, cool.
I got you, Lobo. I'm coming.
Okay, let's put our turrets right up there where Suman's at, and then I'll buff all of them at the same time. Oh, wow.
We should all like blast the one. Yeah.
A lot of damage. The one right, the gold one right there. See him? Oh, he's about to get lit up. He shouldn't have went up there.
Oh, more dogs came.
What is up, YouTube family? It's Be Righteous from Identity, and I just got one question. Who's ready for the raid? Operation Iron Horse is almost here, and me along with my clan members will be streaming it day one, so come join because it's gonna be lit, trust me. If it's your first time here and you're interested in builds from DPS all the way to skill, also guides and gameplay, then please hit that like button and don't hesitate to subscribe to my channel. Also turn those bell notifications on so you won't miss a video. Universal Soldier. I mean, the name says it all. And when I said this is my raid build, I meant it. It's definitely going to be in the starting lineup. This build has the total package: weapon damage, team support, vision, all of which I believe we will need for the Foundry raid. The devs did say it won't be just a DPS check, so trust me when I say you're going to want this build. From my experience, legendary missions are more difficult than raids as far as NPC's aggressiveness. So if my team could run through Roosevelt Island with this and have little to no problems, I think it's safe to say this is raid ready. Let's get into this right now. Alright, so we are here days before the brand new raid, Operation Iron Horse, and I cannot wait. And this is one of the builds I'm going to use in it. Like a week ago, I made a build called Cyborg. If you haven't checked that build out, you should go see it. And there are a lot of people running different variations of that build. One of the mistakes that I made when I made that build was not adding a few necessary pieces essential for way more damage and support, and here it is. So the specialization I'm using is Technician, and if you're using a skill build or hybrid, I think Technician is one of the best to go with. There are so many reasons why you should use that, and you're going to see in this build why I'm using it for this one. The weapons I'm using are the same weapons I used in the Cyborg build. The first one is the Harmony. Pretty easy to get. They were selling this weapon 2 weeks in a row at the Dark Zone vendors. They were decent, but I'm sure you can get another one that's better. And I'm sure a lot of you know what this does. It can give you up to 40% skill damage if both of these buffs are active. It's called Perfectly in Sync. And so when you shoot an enemy with your weapon, it gives you 20% skill damage, and it doubles, which is why you're able to get 40% when both buffs are active. And the mechanical animal is just used to put your skills in overcharge, because when you get a kill, future perfection allows you to get one skill tier. And you're already at tier 6, so one kill is all it takes. And with this variation of the build, I'm doing a lot more damage than a regular skill build, and you're about to see. I'm just using the Liberty exotic pistol because it's the only exotic pistol and it looks really cool. I'm not even really going to be using it in the build. So the first piece is the exotic mask called the Coyote's mask. Got this a long time ago in season 1. I recalibrated this and I was able to get these stats. Now this gives you and your team support. It increases all of your crit damage and chance based on the range from where you shoot. So for the most part, you're going to be getting 25% critical hit damage or 10% crit chance and damage for you and your team. You can sometimes get that 25% critical hit chance bonus, but I rarely shoot that far unless I'm sniping. But being that it's a rifle, you can do that too. And I want you guys to remember, I said this build is called Universal Soldier because it does so many things all at once. It helps your team out with crit. It helps your team out with vision, because with the chest piece I'm running, a Hu Corporation, the 2-piece gives you skill damage and skill haste. I wish I had skill haste on here, or I'd take crit honestly, because with the Cyborg build, I was running skill haste and skill damage. This is more so for damage, so you can replace that second stat with crit if you like. And speaking of vision, this is what I was talking about. Last time I had Spark. Spark only increases your weapon damage when you damage enemies with your skills. Spotter with the Technician Laser, pulses enemies and it gives you 15% amplified damage to pulsed enemies. Now this applies to both your skills and your weapon damage. So this is why I said I was missing out on some damage, because why not run Spotter if you're running an assault drone or a striker drone? It gives you vision, it gives you damage, the works. This is what you want here. And if somebody else on your team is running Spotter, then they'll also get that damage buff because you're the one who's going to be pulsing everybody. I have pretty decent crit hit chance and crit hit damage on this build. I'm going to show you in the stat sheet towards the end. For the holster is a one-piece wyvern, and that's only for the skill damage. That's all you need. You don't need any more because it's not a status effect build, and you don't need the skill duration because the skills already last long enough. I mean, the point of this build is not to just be a straight crit build. It's to be an all-around build, but you're going to be doing damage with your weapon and your skills, like so much damage. The backpack, the name backpack made by HANDYU Corporation. I'm thinking about rolling crit damage on here to get more weapon damage, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Once again, you probably know what this does. It increases your damage, skill damage, by 30% for 3 seconds while you're shooting at the enemy. Now you're going to be doing a lot of shooting in this because you're doing good damage with your weapon. Very good damage. So combined arms is the only talent you want on this build. And of course, you know I'm rocking with the Grupo Sombra gloves. This gives you already 15% just for one piece. So when you roll another 12%, that's 27% critical hit damage just on one piece. Now I wish this was rolled to something else, but this is what I got, you know. I'm going to find some better gloves that has either skill damage or crit. Just a matter of time. The knee pads. Now this is important, y'all, okay? The Fox's Prayer knee pads. Usually this is used for DPS builds, right? But this is completely viable for a skill build because damage to targets out of cover applies to your skills as well. And I just happen to have skill damage rolled on here, which was great. And I rolled this to a skill tier so it can be 6 tier. Now make sure that along with this 8% damage to targets out of cover, you have damage to targets out of cover rolled on your harmony. So you can have 18% damage to targets out of cover. This is crazy, y'all. And this is great damage. 18% multiplicative along with what I'm about to show you in the skills. Come on, let's get into it. So for the skills, I'm using the Artificer Hive. I didn't notice until like a month ago, and I didn't really pay any mind. I seen people using it in conflict. They would use the Chem Launcher Fire Starter with this on their backs. I'm like, why is he doing that? Little did I know, this buffs your damage by 70%. So if you have this on your back, just like the shield, you know how that little drone pops out periodically and heals your shield? Well, it does the same thing for your Chem Launcher. So let's say your Chem Launcher is in your hand. It pops out the back and gives a buff to your Chem Launcher while it's in your hand. So that next shot does an extra 70% damage. Now they nerfed the Chem Launcher Fire Starter by 20% for this patch, but that didn't do anything because you're still doing an extra 50% with this buff amount. So when it says buff amount, that applies to whatever that skill is efficient in, right? So if you have a blind or firefly, it's going to increase the duration and the skill haste of the blind. And if you have a Chem Launcher Fire Starter, what is it most efficient in, right? Burn. Burn duration, burn damage. That's what it's going to increase. So it doesn't discriminate when it comes to the turret. It's going to buff that turret by 70%, which brings me to my next skill, the assault turret. I said in my thumbnail that this is going to be in the lineup for one of my raid builds that I'm going to do in a couple of days. And that is for a reason. Okay, this doesn't only help you. When the Artificer Hive is on your back, it buffs your turret only. But when we were running the legendary on Roosevelt Island, it was my first time doing it, by the way. We had like 3 turrets including mine, or 4 or something like that. We were just trying to see if we can get through it that way, right? And it was a breeze. I mean, there was one point in the legendary mission where, you know, it's like 5 or 6 dogs that come out. I said, everybody set your turrets on top of that truck, line them up. I'll put my Artificer Hive right there and buff everybody. We had them turrets just spitting fire, man. It was crazy how much damage it was doing to those dogs, and we didn't have to do anything but, you know, just play tactful. When you're in a team, you can buff yourself, you can buff your team. So it's just basically helping you out in that way. And that's another accolade added to this build that helps out, and which is why I call it Universal Soldier. This not only gives you crazy turret damage, but remember, it gives you crazy damage with your weapon. The Harmony is a great rifle. And with the Fox's Prayer knee pads that gives you rifle damage plus the damage to targets out of cover, it's the perfect fusion. And then you're buffing your team with crit. So it was one point where Lolo, my clanmate, said, yo, my turret is hitting for 350k per bullet. I was like, what? So that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not completely spec'd into skill damage. I'm spec'd into crit also. So that means that my turret isn't even max damage. So people who's running like a pure skill build with 6 tiers and just like skill damage to the max are going to benefit the most from this. Think of it this way. It basically gives you overcharge damage without the overcharge. And then when you do overcharge, it's is unreal how strong it is. I fell in love with this build as soon as I thought of the idea, and I think you will too. For real. I mean, you're not completely relying on your skills, you have weapon damage, and you're also helping out your team. I just made a video called 5 TU10 pro tips and strategies, and if you want to check that out, click on this video right here because it's going over this tip along with 4 others that you don't want to miss. Also, don't forget to like this video and don't hesitate to subscribe to my channel if you're new. Until I see you in my next video, be right out.